Hello and welcome to a new episode of Airport CEO. In fact, it is the final episode of this season, and because it is the final episode, we will be making a tour around the airport grounds to see what we have achieved throughout this season. So let's get going on this tour right after the drop. As always, before we get too far into today's episode, if you should end up enjoying this episode, then don't forget to leave a like. That would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. Alright, so with that, hello and welcome once again here on this final tour around our airport. We have, over the course of the season, tried to replicate Copenhagen Airport as best as we could do. Of course, there are some limitations because of, well, it is a game and not reality, and there are some things where we had to do things a little bit different, also because we wanted to achieve certain things in the game. But we have still, I think, managed to do quite well in actually trying to catch the spirit of Copenhagen Airport. We have 3 terminals to go around, but I think we will just start over at Terminal 1. That is the last terminal we constructed, and in a way also the least authentic, because in real life Copenhagen Airport does not have a Terminal 1 anymore. Terminal 1 used to be a terminal, the smallest terminal actually of the airport, and it used to pretty much only handle aircraft and routes that were internal to Denmark, so local routes. And a few years ago they closed down that terminal, and I don't really know if they have any plans of reopening it or building something new over there. But for now, there is no terminal over there, at least no open terminal. So we just had to imagine how it could look like if there were to build a new one. And that's exactly what we have done. Now, obviously, this was going to be the smallest terminal, just because in real life it would also have been, but also because we did not have much space left for actually adding this terminal. So the drop-off zone for Terminal 1 is actually all the way down here. Where we have short-term parking, long-term parking, and also some staff parking, and obviously all the different taxi and car and bus drop-off points. Then passengers would go up here, and this would actually this area here would be the main entrance for Terminal 1. Passengers could then decide if they would go up to the terminal building from here, or they could actually take this little bit scenic path, although obviously because passengers try to take the shortest path possible, I don't think we will see many people walking through this garden. But anyways, we constructed it because, well, it was fun to do. Anyway, so passengers would arrive and they would then go up here. Most of them probably take here these walkolators. It's a bit of a walk. I can't lie about that. So all the way up here. Here we have the security exit, but we will come back to that in a little bit. All the way up here, so you can see it is really quite a walk. Now they would enter this central hall here, where we of course have the check-in areas. So people can get rid of their luggage. We do have a shop here and a little bit of seating arrangements, but the main thing is of course just a check-in, and from there they would then go upstairs. For staff, if they needed to access some of the areas for example baggage handling, they would enter here. We have a separate security exit only for staff for that, and they would go downstairs. Let's just quickly check out that area. And here we then have the 2 baggage bays that are handling all the luggage for Terminal 1. This system is basically enclosed in itself. It does not connect with any of the other parts over at Terminal 2 or 3. This is, a closed system. Anyway, so this is where they're handling the luggage, but passengers obviously do go upstairs to level 1, and here they would then arrive at the security check, which at the moment seems rather busy, so we could perhaps even consider to open up another security check, and even this one if we wanted to. All right, so basically from here, when they have passed a security, they would have the choice depending on what flight they have. If they have international flights, they would have to pass through here where we have the passport control, and well, then we would have 2 international gates right here at the main terminal building, 1 medium and 1 wide body stand, which we have over here. Or they could go here when we are passing the passport control, go straight to the right and then go downstairs, down these escalators here. And from here we can then again take a rather long walk all the way over here, and then once again go 1 level further down, because the handling of 3 additional international medium stands that however are remote stands are being taken care of from this area here. So we basically just have a waiting area here, and then you can see boarding is right now happening for 1 aircraft that is going to St. Peter Port, wherever that might be. Operated, however, by Saudi Arabian Airlines. All right, so that is the international part of Terminal 1. If we go upstairs again to level 1, we can see if you were coming through the security check, you could then also go to the right immediately. And from there, you then again have the choice going upwards. That would then lead you to this part where we have 4 gates, non-international gates. Within this area, we also have the little additional level here where we could go downstairs, and that would lead you to 2 lounges. So that we also have over here. And then, of course, going back to the central building, you could also, when you have passed security and go on straight to the right, go upstairs, where we have another level, where we again have a few more lounges. So that is basically the central building. If you were going downwards here, you would then go over to another wide body stand that, however, of course, is non-international. Right now we can see a 777 of American is occupying just that gate. And from here on, you can also then connect over 2 terminals 2 and 3 by simply continuing downwards all the way down to here, and this is where Terminal 2 would begin. So this is how everything would be handled for passengers that are departing Terminal 1, but how is it going for passengers that are arriving? Well, basically they will all end up here again in the central part of the building, regardless if they are coming from the international part, so they would go here through the passport control and then end up over here, or if they're of course coming from the non-international part, then they would come from up here, from one of these gates up here, or they would be arriving from this 1 wide body stand over here. And all of them would then ultimately end up right at these escalators here. From there, they would then go obviously 1 level down to ground floor level, and then they would arrive in this rather narrow room. And this is where we have the luggage retrieval. We have 2 baggage reclaim areas for Terminal 1, and they are both situated in this narrow room. At the end, of course, we have some few bathrooms, and this is then where we have the security exit that we passed at the beginning of our tour around Terminal 1. Now with that, let's head over to Terminal 2 to see how things are working over there. Alright, so we are just in front of the departure hall of Terminal 2, where we have, again, a drop-off zone, but here we have let ourselves be inspired by real life. So in real life there would be some rather big parking lots over here, and they would then be connecting over to the terminal. And we have basically decided to try to replicate this as much as we can by adding these passerelles. So from these different drop-off zones, you can't really cross the road because we haven't added any of these pedestrian crossings, but we have done this on purpose because we want to force people to use these passerelles. So from down here, where you could come from the long-term parking, or from for example, this little island here with the bus and car drop-off zones, or further up here again, bus drop-off zones. You cannot really leave this area without going into these passerelles, and we have them here with elevators and here just with stairs. So then you would come up here to level 1, and this is basically then connecting all the way over to here, where you would then go downwards in this elevator, and from there you can then enter. If we can go one level down here, enter, come out here, and then you can except actually, now that we are mentioning this, I've just see, I've just noticed something that I have messed up, I think, because I have forgotten to add some doors here, so people can actually never come out here. This is actually okay. This would then, of course, can very quickly solve this by adding the doors here, and now this would actually work. So we've actually played the entire season with this, and I've never noticed that it actually didn't quite work. That's a shame, but the idea was there. So things like that will happen. But anyway, passengers would then now come down here, and from there could enter the departure hall of Copenhagen Airport, which is, I believe, one of the oldest parts of Copenhagen Airport in real life. And we've tried to basically also construct this area pretty much as it would have been in real life. So we don't have exuberant amounts of space around here. We have also added a little bit extra room over here because we needed to add a few more check-in desks for a few additional gates that we were able to add. But basically from here you then of course have the check-in area. Luggage from here is being handled underground mostly, so this is coming down one level. So for example from over here, and is then going up here, and we have the, let's see, we have of course security checks over here, but we do also have parts of the security checks overground, which we can check out. So basically from level, or from terminal 2, you can see this is going over here, passing through the wall, and then all the way over here, where we then have the security checks, from where it then goes underground. All right, so that's the luggage, at least the outbound luggage. Passengers, they, when they would like to go towards their gate, they would go upstairs here. We have several areas here where they can go upstairs, from where they can then come up here and then go towards security checks. We have one little security check here. This is, however, only for staff, and this was just to alleviate issues, or basically because the main security check area was rather busy, or could get very, very busy, and it could also hinder staff actually reaching their tasks if they got stuck in the security checks. So we added a few extra security checks just for staff, so they could get in quickly to solve issues there. All right, so we of course then have this main security area, and this is actually basically a shared security area, because these 4 security checks, they are still within terminal 2, whereas the next 4 over here, they are then already in terminal 3. But this is how it is also handled in real life, that you have like this common area here where basically passengers from terminal 2 and terminal 3 are arriving to pass security. So passengers would basically go in here and technically actually enter terminal 3, go through this shop here, and then they will, if they had a flight from terminal 2, they would then go immediately to the right here and come into this area here. From there we have the option of going to several concourses. So in terminal 2 we have B concourse and we have A concourse. If we go straight up, we have B concourse. From here we are handling aircraft in medium stands, and this is also the only area of the airport where we have added small stands for commercial flights. rather typical design for Copenhagen Airport, that you have like a rather narrow floor here, and then on the sides you of course have the gates, and they are in a sense kind of walled off, not entirely, but you have like these waiting areas in front of the gates. And this is a concept that we have pretty much pursued throughout most of the airport, because this is how most boarding areas around the airport are structured. All the way at the far end here we then have a little bit more space. We've even added a shop, although I do believe that they have run out of a contract, so we can just try to sign one again. It's not the most crowded area, so shops down over here do have difficulties actually staying afloat. But anyway, so this is B Concourse, where we are handling medium aircraft and small aircraft. Alright, so if we then go all the way back to the central area of Terminal 2, of course here we again have this main shopping area, which does seem to be very, very crowded at the moment. And from there we can then go over to our A Concourse. A Concourse is basically from this area here, where we then go upwards, which is kind of a slightly angled T shape in real life. This is of course quite difficult to build in this game because everything is square based, but we've tried to somewhat replicate it. If you can look here from the top side, it's not entirely as in real life, but it is as close as we could get. And also here again we have the same structure, that we have these kind of walled off waiting areas for the boarding. And then again, rather busy here as well, with passengers walking towards the gates. These are also rather long walks passengers have to take on, and there are no walk-elators here, just as in real life. There are no walk-elators. And then all the way here at the far end, again here we have a little bit more space, just as in real life as well. One thing that is also here that we have added that isn't in real life is that we can actually go one level down here, from where we again find, as soon as we are there, a few more lounges. So I've tried to place lounges across the terminal, and I've tried to match lounges or sign lounges with airlines that are operating from these areas of the airport, so that these lounges should be relatively close to from where passengers of these airlines are departing. Alright, so then the last part of Terminal 2 is then going over here. This is technically still a concourse. Again, a bit of a walk, but here we have added some walk-elators because they actually also here in real life. And then we are coming towards these last few gates here as well, which is then again connecting over to the entrance point of Terminal 1. One thing here again, which I have added, is if we go downstairs, you might have guessed it, yes, a few more lounges, and again try to match them with airlines that are operating from this area. Alright, so how is luggage handled that is coming in? So basically inbound and not outbound luggage. Well, we have of course baggage bays scattered across this area of the terminal. So obviously, or in this case, all of them are actually on ground level. So we have one over here that is handling luggage, and then we have one here out in the far end of a concourse as well, which can be reached by workers via this elevator coming here from level 1. Alright, so that is the luggage that is coming in here or being handled here. In B Concourse we also have a few baggage bays which also are here at the far end. But obviously, so luggage is coming in here, but where is it then going? Well, it is going one level down, and that leads us to the underground part of Terminal 2. So then we have here, technically we don't need to add these lines inside a terminal building, but I prefer to have them inside a terminal building because I think it is more authentic. So that is why I've tried to pretty much always add a terminal structure where I have these lines going. Anyway, so we have this luggage coming in from the far ends of these concourses, and it's all connecting up here and coming over to this point essentially. This is really the both for A concourse and B concourse the main point where it's all coming together. From here then we have again, with using these tilt trays, they are really useful in this case, because you can make much more efficient luggage systems using these tilt trays. From there, the luggage can go to several places. If it comes down here, it can go one level further down. No, sorry. It can go one level up, and this is because on ground level we actually have the main luggage handling. However, we are already on level -1, so let's just quickly stay here, because if it remains here, we have two baggage retrieval areas down here, and they are for Terminal 2. If we then go, and it can actually connect all the way over here, because it can continue, and this would then go over to Terminal 3, where we also, of course, have luggage handling. Again, this is basically, it's split up in Terminals 2 and 3, but it is basically, I mean, you wouldn't really be able to recognize where Terminal 2 ends and where Terminal 3 starts, and this is because in real life this is exactly the same, that you have this one main luggage retrieval area for Terminals 2 and 3. Just like with security, it's basically mixed together. So the main luggage, however, is handled up here on ground floor level, and the first baggage bays here are of Terminal 2, and the rest over here would then be for Terminal 3. Alright, so this is the main structure for Terminal 2. So let's talk about Terminal 3. Terminal 3 has this main attraction, which is this elongated triangular building, which in real life actually does look rather spectacular from an architectural, is that a word? Looking at the architecture, let's say, like this, it does look really nice, but it does also have some weaknesses, because this is basically the departure hall as well as the arrival hall all in one, and that of course means that when there are traffic peaks, it gets very crowded. But the main thing is that you have basically at the far end here, or the lower end here, just like in real life, you have to actually have the connection to the subway, or metro as we call it in Copenhagen, so public transport, and actually there would also be a train station underground in real life, but we don't have that option here in the game. Passengers would, however, come in from the city and then enter the building down here, going upwards. You would then have the check-in areas. You would have a few shops in this area, and then all the way up here you would have the security exit, and this security exit is the main security exit of the Copenhagen airport. So this is basically handling all passengers, or is the security exit for all passengers, both from Terminals 2 and 3. But anyways, passengers that are arriving, of course, have the check-in area just here. They can also connect over to Terminal 2 if they would like to. But if not, if they're just checking in here and have a flight from Terminal 3, yes, there are some stairs going downstairs, but that's just, I just added some bathrooms here. But mainly passengers would go upstairs here, and where they're ending up is basically, yes, you guessed it, to this main security check area. We have added a few more over here, but in real life this does not happen, or this does not exist. This is just because we were trying to avoid security being overrun with passengers at peak hours. What I've also added here on level 1 at this triangular building is some restaurants. That is because in real life this building would be kind of an open plan, open floor building, where you only on the sides would have like different levels. Otherwise it would be one huge hall, and on the sides you would then have restaurants and offices. And since we don't have the option in the game to build buildings like that, all floors are always solid, I just decided to add these restaurants here across the entire building. But actually one thing is that when passengers go up here, they can then enter the restaurants, but staff can also come up here and then actually go up one level further up to level 2, and this is then where we have the main administration of the airport. I see it doesn't look like there are many workers here present at the moment. Let's see, who are you? You are the strategy director. So this is where the board of directors are, and I think also, who else did we add here? I think it was this administrators as well, and then we have added just a few meeting rooms here just for fun. So this is the main administration at our airport, or this is at least where I have placed it, where I would imagine it could look nice and they can overlook the entire airport. All right, but let's go back to the passengers. When they have passed security, whether it's from the right side, which is how it is in real life, or from the left side here, they would come over here, and then they would go to the left if they were having a flight departing from Terminal 3. And over Terminal 3 we then have like this main area here, where we have a rather large lounge. Also in real life, this is the Scandinavian Airlines and Star Alliance Gold Lounge in real life, and so we have added this as well here, as close to how it looks in real life as possible. From this central point, you then again have a few options. We can go downstairs here, which we have added, which does not exist in real life as far as I know, but from here you could again go down to the baggage retrieval area and then leave the security zone. But let's assume we have an outbound aircraft that we would like to reach. From here we can go into C Concourse, which is just above us, and this is handling international flights only. And from here we of course then have the option of both handling medium aircraft and wide body aircraft. As you can see here, a lovely Thai 747-400 at the airport at the moment. Yeah, this is also a rather crowded area. I have also here added a few workulators. I've never been to this area in real life because I've never had an international flight from Copenhagen from Copenhagen Airport. That's how you pronounce it. But this is again some of these things where we try to help ourselves out and try to improve how the airport would operate, because there are some structural weaknesses in the design of Copenhagen Airport that makes it rather crowded, or more crowded than necessary in some cases when there are traffic peaks. We kind of have replicated this rather successfully here, but of course in some areas we also needed to try to actually alleviate that a little bit. But anyways, so we can go all the way up here, past all these wide body aircraft and narrow body aircraft that are all handled for international flights, all the way up here again. And then we can have like this little head here, again a lounge that we have added. And also here we have made sure that not just the passengers' needs are taken care of, but also the workers' needs. We have this elevator here, which actually leads us down to ground floor level. And here we have a staff room, just to make sure that we, of course, also take care of our workers here in this area of the airport. Alright, so if you were not going to have an international flight from Terminal 3, there are a few more options. We have a few more gates here and a lot of shops, just like in real life. And here we are handling, this is technically also C Concourse, however, non-international flights. And then you can go even further out, where we then have a few more stands. Here I had to improvise a little bit because in real life this area is a little bit bigger. Also aircraft are handled from both sides of this building, but we ran out of space, so we had to improvise a little bit. But these are the E gates of the airport. And what I also did here, for example, we have in between E and C, we had a little bit of space left. And so I thought, why not use this space and actually add some de-icing pads, because we don't have much space for that anyways. So at least the aircraft that are coming out here, if they need to be de-iced, they could just enter the de-icing pads here. Anyway, passengers at E-gates are being handled right here from level 1. And from there we are then coming to the, which in Copenhagen Airport is basically the low-cost terminal. And for that we are going down to ground floor level, just like in real life again. And down here we then have a few more stands. These are the G gates or G Concourse. What we have done here as well is that in real life there are also remote stands, so we have added them as well. But I think in real life these remote stands would also be handled basically from this part here. But we can't really do that in the game, so because we need these bus transfer bus stops. So we've just added them here along E. However, all this would then count as, here on ground floor level at least, as G. So let's just check it out. This one is a Pegasus flight, which is going to Dresden. Seems very legit. Alright, so this is basically the low-cost terminal for Copenhagen Airport in real life. It's a little bit squeezed in. And what we then would have further down here is actually in real life as well, the maintenance area, or the main maintenance area at least, for Scandinavian Airlines and probably also a few other airlines. And what we have also added here is actually a few general aviation stands. These are, however, the only general aviation stands we have at the airport. Copenhagen Airport then has 3 runways, 2 parallel runways and 1 that is crossing them. They would in real life be quite a bit further north, at least one of them. But again, we have a limited space here to work with, so we had to place them just to the side here. And then the 3rd runway, which we have here, would in real life kind of cross the 2 other runways, but we had to add it over here, and so they don't do it in this setup. But we do have at least the same amount of runways, and we have more or less the configuration you would have in real life as well. One thing, of course, here we also should talk about with Terminal 3 is the luggage again. Here we don't really have the baggage bays placed so far out, but actually much closer in here. So, for example, here with E, we have them here, on E and G, I think are both handled from these 2 baggage bays over here. And then the rest of C concourses are being handled by these 3 baggage bays. And then all luggage is going into these vehicle depots. No, into these luggage baggage claim areas. One thing we have also worked on throughout the season is vehicle depots, since I mentioned it. We used to have quite a few of them overground, which of course works just fine, but it takes up a lot of space. So what we have done throughout the season is actually to move most of them underground, because they work just as fine down here. And then we just try to add a few tunnel access points so that GSE can arrive as fast as possible to the designated areas, or where they have a ongoing task. And you can see that we have done that basically for all 3 terminals throughout the season. All right, so most of the airport is actually running quite well, but there are of course issues. The main issue is just staff, and this is something that has plagued it throughout the entire season, and it's not the first season where we have just that issue. This is really something I hope that will be worked on the game, because it is just, I mean, it at least seems impossible to hire enough staff to actually fulfill the needs of the airport. And that does seem a little bit silly, because if you can build an airport of that size, then you should also be able to handle it with the amount of staff that you are hiring. But yeah, that's really the main challenge. I think most other issues we managed to solve throughout the seasons, or the season. So yeah, I'm actually quite happy with the end result. I think it turned out much nicer than I thought. We are also, I think, much closer to reality, or to the real thing, than I thought we would be possible. because the game is square-based, there are some challenges in how you can actually replicate the architecture of the airport. But I think both in terms of things that are going well at the real airport, but also things that are not going so well at the airport, I think we managed actually to kind of recreate quite well. I also really wanted to, in many places, achieve this sense of it being rather crowded and tight. And I think we really managed to do that as well, because this is at least the feeling I always get at Copenhagen Airport, that things are quite tight, everything is squeezed in to the maximum amount possible, and perhaps in some cases above what is actually possible. And still the airport, at least here in the game, is running quite okay. So yeah, I think that's quite nice. So I'm really happy with this result. So guys, this is what we could achieve over the course of, I think, 28 or 29 episodes. Yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this season. This could potentially be the last season of airportceo here on the channel. I have done a poll, and there was a majority for adding a 5th season to the series, but it was a very close race. So I think we will take a break now over the summer, and then see a little bit later in the year. I will try to do another poll and then see how things are, what people are thinking about the game, if they would like to see another season, and then we will have to figure out what we are doing in another season. Are we doing another replica, and if so, from where, and or are we doing something completely different? Well, lots of questions that will have to be answered at a later point, because for now it is time to end today's episode and say thank you very much for having stayed loyal throughout the entire season, and for having watched today's tour around the airport. If you have enjoyed the series, the tour around the airport here, then a like would be very much appreciated. Would also really show the support for the series and show if you would like to have more of that in the future. And of course, if you would consider to hit subscribe, that would also be absolutely amazing. With that, for the final time, at least in this season, I would like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.